Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for this if I'm a little bit off, but today's another edition of the Political Minute with Colin James Dawson. A lot of things have happened here. A lot of things have happened. And true to form, Mr. Cuomo is being the gold standard. Chase the gold, not the real money. Chase the creepy, hair sniffing, sex-capades is something else, and honestly, everyone could tell Biden was going to throw Cuomo under the bus because the president has to have the biggest balls. So when he said, I think you should resign, I'm telling you, I think his package did shrink since that seems to be the only thing anybody cares about. But yet, the BPA finally got to him. We'll just say it that way, and the exoestrogen, because Biden has the biggest balls, or else he's got none and takes testo pills and has the longest dick. Sorry for the language here, but considering that sex sells and no one is paying any attention to the infrastructure bill that is pork laden and everything else, and probably has some things in it that are really good. I mean, it is the United States spending bill, but there's not any real representation in it. And this is just Biden being a senator who's basically always been kind of like the kicked around guy from like lower end committee areas and everything else. And he's like, I'm finally in charge. There is only me. And there is some of that in there with it. You could see that, and he has fought for the presidency all of his life, and you could see that in some of the debates. Now, just saying with everything out there, with all of it, this infrastructure bill is riddled with so much inflation. And honestly, I think he's trying to do an FDR and think he can control it by giving something away to the very populous inside the country, even though most populist movements actually have about 7 to 8 years once the money gets to the populace. They have about 5 to 7 years of like, this is us and what we want no matter what. There is a 25 to 30% group that will not be satisfied. And they're generally the leadership. I hate saying it this way, but it's like right under what Kamala Harris would be in this populist group that's not really the real leadership, but leads the country in a way populously. That group underneath there, to like 30%, that will have all the money with them, be involved in everything, get all the money, will just leave and flitter out across the world in a way that they are dissatisfied with the United States and disgruntled. And they will take the money with them. And that money will probably be the last money that will ever make it to any part of the world where the United States will have buying power. And in this, after 5 to 7 years of them fussing here, after about 7 years, that gives us about 14 years. And it puts us right in there for them to influence their group, because they'll spend that last 7 years basically gathering money, and then they'll just kind of leave in mass in the 6th through the 7th year. That then gives them about 6 years, if you want to say 14 years, to go out there and politically do stuff, a senator's term, a president's term in there with that, in the countries that they primarily funnel into to be the hamstring of the United States of America. And then we will be at that 2040 MIT scientist thing that says we'll collapse. The inflation package that is going in there will be what will be there. We will be able to control this probably for 20 years to 25 years. But however it is, with the massive amounts of USA cash going to places, most places when they break ties with countries, and I know this is supposedly archaic, barbaric, but the second world and third world just take the cash out there and they'll be like, we hate these people, and they'll throw one of their flag on it, their place or something else. throw some kerosene on it or oil or combustible material, and will light pallets of cash on fire. It may be mostly $1 bills in the middle of it, and you're like, that's pretty good, but we can't register those serial numbers necessarily. It's like all the drug money that we know exists with these serial numbers and stuff that's not counterfeit. And then one day we find, 5C-130 fully loaded, only with crates of cash in Ecuador, Peru. Probably going to find something out there in the backwoods of Afghanistan one day. Because, we do use the most methamphetamines and fentanyl than anybody. And they'll just take down China by getting all their soldiers hyped up on shrooms. And there's like a major drug dealer on the police force that's up the road there that's been planning this since I've ran into him at Oak Ridge or Big Ridge Park, either one of them. And then I had to work with him for 3 or 4 years. And he has never not had that. And he goes, I'm undercover. Once you're undercover, whatever your natural life is, you get to actually act it out. It's all part of my investigation in undercover. And I'm just going, no one should buy this for anything. That's why I'm like, it's the bye-bye Biden administration. Whatever it is, they'll be buying whatever. And then they'll just be like, bye-bye, we're screwing you over. And you're basically like our sacrifice and river of souls to someplace. Still underneath Jesus. I just really do not understand how people have been sold into sex so much. And I'll be honest, I've been to the strip clubs like every week for like 3 or 4 years. They say just look at your face, Colin. Yeah, I can see sex sells. But yet at the same time, so do supermodel magazines and everything else. And people trying to make sure they work out so that the next generation of their people have something naturally in them to where they naturally will not eat bad stuff, naturally will have better habits, naturally will look better and everything else. And that's the progression of of creational evolution. Not trying to go religious, but I'm just going, if there's anything after this, with the way things go, it's like, we're not going to have Biden step down. Biden may be forced out by terms or something else, or else just say he's accomplished everything. But whatever the thoughts of Kamala Harris and Biden's sippy cup milk, with how Sean Hannity describes him, I'm just telling you, that hilamonster ain't dead. He's just taking it slow right now, and then all of a sudden he's going to come alive. And he is poisonous and venomous. And there is ways of handling a Gila monster and working with him. Just like Donald Trump's in, might as well work with him. And Donald Trump did the same thing out there until COVID came around. And it's basically like, it's Miss America pageant with the squad. And it's like, can't you just enjoy the natural good looks of older women that don't have kids yet? And are single. And it's just the biggest distractionary thing here for everything that we've got going. And basically we're about to say we have lost the war to Japan. There has been a major situation. I just changed jobs here. And I've gotten a little threatening some stuff off of some stories here a year ago and some things. And I've been trying to take a break from it and let everything cool down. Cooler heads, whatever it is. And, I'm just saying, I got this one group that's came around that's like, I'm really 42 years of age and they can't do a 43. So by the time this time next year, I cannot be employed or living in the USA. Weirdly enough. Because they're not going to do that much, whatever it is, of like Ohio prison farming or New England, leadership farming or something else. I've never been considered a Yankee in my life. And like, you the biggest slave whippingest bastard I ever saw in my life, Colin. And I was like, technically my group wasn't allowed to own slaves or anything. Technically we had to pay an extra tax because we just weren't white enough. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's like when they actually work on me to like, and I'm just like, so you're working up to go around black people and start a race riot. Okay, you're working up to start talking to white people to go start a race riot. There's no difference between them. But we don't look at that either because we have sex-capades. Um, yeah, it's just so great and wonderful and everything else, the sex-capades. Um, Sex sells. I mean, it's been a little disturbing for me here, and I'm not trying to go too personal here, but I think we are living in the time of like when I went over one of the debate things, they wouldn't let me put it up and said it's the choice of your mobster. Who do you want, Donald Trump or Joe Biden? You know, pre-Civil War, or do you want someone who's a little bit more movie modern? Looking at everything, I'm not really sure about where everything's going to go to here. I mean, I'm dragging this out. I know we should talk about Cuomo and him stepping down, and it's like New York will handle anything there, and if not, he'll if the infrastructure bill goes bad, there'll be a lot of scandals with Nancy Pelosi and other people that Biden knows how to shield himself being a senator for so long from the actual Congress. And the judicial branch, based off of their unified Christian situation, will not go after Biden for anything like they did Donald Trump. Even though Donald Trump is a unabashed Christian situation in every way. He was a major Mason for Rome. He even had to ask Rome if they even had a problem with anything that he was doing. Like we're in reconstruction from Rome. Which around here in the areas that they put most of the Nazis at, White Sands, Knoxville, Oak Ridge area, and NORAD, you could probably say that. I've seen people come here and the culture is so barbaric unto them and just strange, like certain Californians. It's like, I'm a Californian citizen. It's like, no, you're not. You went to elementary school with me. You were here in the 80s. No, I went there and established my own residency, so I represent California now. I just come here to live because of taxes and they'll pay for my property. Since I'm under duress here. And it's like they pay for most of the Nazis out there in the entire area. I mean, all the Axis powers. World War One even. Most of World War One is paid for by New York State. Because they'll pay for their foods and meals and they just eat nonstop and are skinny little people. It's like people like Germans are fat. Germans ain't fat. That's what they say the USA is. That's why they do all the things with the chemicals in the meat. But wait, was there anything sexual or anything out there? Seriously, I need to get a blow up doll and just go forget about whatever. There's an issue. I mean, Cuomo is in my opinion, an unabashed murderer of anyone who would be a World War II veteran or a victim of World War II or even and I mean, I've gone to school with some of his cousins down here. They don't have the same last name. And they just spell it with a Q. And I'm going, yeah, no one's ever going to know anything because I know you told me every way to spell it's wrong. And they only have like one class in the area here that they even give a real education to. It doesn't matter if you're white or black or brown or red or yellow or whatever or mixed. I mean, after all, if you have a race, there's no such thing as a color exclusion in it. So, most people just look at their Christian faith. Back to the Supreme Court, sorry. I've been digressing in the last bit. I just don't understand it. I really don't. It's like we're really just waiting for this country to balkanize. And the Supreme Court will probably do it, and there'll be 9 little sections or however many justices there are. And they'll all be a different Christian faith so they can go and try and kill each other. And be like, we know we're still really right. And it's like, we can just look like Europe back in the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages. All want to know who has whatever. Then they're kings and everybody's like, oh my, I really am related to everyone here. Well, it really should all just be mine after like 20, 30 years of them getting along. But I mean, then they're like, this is how it's always been, and it's called evolution of society. And it's like, not really. That's just how you all evolved and did your stuff. Oh, it's like the emperors over there, and it's like, which ones got more cannibals that work for them out there, and that they're not a cannibal group, or their family was seduced into cannibalism, and then they had to give over to another lineage dynasty that had domination over people. Oh well. We're a wild zone that just kind of like, managed to get it together. And Native Americans made space travel before anyone else. And the Spanish took it back, and that's why they rained stuff down on us in Knoxville. Because we can't blame the papacy that they said that they were Nazis, and that they finally recognized them as a subsect of Catholicism and rained them back down on us. It's like, blame Spain, blame Japan. They can't ever really own up to it. I know a lot of this, since Christianity is a foreign situation under the minutes of the Mutual Congress, that isn't the congressional branch. The congressional branch has to work within the minutes of the Mutual Congress. So does the office of the executive and the presidency, and so does the judicial branch. It outlawed all the previous things of Christianity, cannibalistic emperors, and even the lineage of Jesus Christ, if it does exist, and any knowledge of it, will be that they will remove it so that they will not be in any danger or threatening them. We do have our own church religion here in the United States. It is separate from the government, so that the government is never threatening in any of its political situations out there, and looks at things objectively like the military does. People say that can't be allowed. It's not allowed to be said in here for anything. Our religion does not involve anything else other than recognition of Jesus Christ in existence. It's no difference in recognizing the premier of Russia, or more accurately, Hitler, as the leader of the German peoples, even though he was a Liechtenstein and not one of the German peoples, and was there basically to make their extermination, which under the reabsorption of their principality means the Germans are extinct in their homeland. I know this is pretty long, everything else, sorry for that. It's Colin Dawson. Like and subscribe.